Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Game Out Talk podcast. Malte Resenberger-Loosmann is my guest today. Happy to have you on my podcast.
Yeah, hi. Hi, thanks for having me here. Um, Very nice to talk to you and get the opportunity to be in your format.
So your last name is pretty hard for me, even as a German. So I will stay with Malte.
Oh yeah, just stay with Malte is fine. It's like Resenberger-Loosmann. It's pretty long. It's like a typical German name, so
Yeah.
don't mind.
So give us a short introduction of yourself. You told me you were 35 and
Mhm.
you're living in Germany and being a freelancing weapon artist.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, I'm from Berlin originally. So yeah, middle of Germany. Um, And yeah, I just become a weapons artist over the past 12 years. And I started like my career at the Games Academy in 2005, where I figured out pretty fast that um, I'm like more the environment props guy because we had there some character stuff like some works and some teacher wanted to do us some characters and they called me like the polygon slaughterer because of my bad characters and polygon meshes and stuff. So I basically didn't know anything about yeah, art and animation. So that was my first step in the industry.
Okay. So when did all this happen? So how long was it ago?
Yeah, it was like in 2005 and went to 2008 where I finished game design, art, and animation. And then I just got my feet into the games industry, started an internship at Ubisoft for Dawn of Discovery, like a strategy game, German studio, where I had like yeah the opportunity to just watch into a project how things are working and touch some small props and environments. And then like moving forward to some browser games companies where it was very interesting to learn to be like very optimized on low devices, which is coming really handy when it comes to weapons creation as well
Mhm.
and to props creations for games. Was pretty yeah, nice experience. So there we developed like for a Samsung Galaxy S2 like a really old mobile phone some games. um, and then a Diablo 3 clone where I learned like a lot and got my first hands on some weapon art finally. We had a guy there called Dennis Rogic. He's working at Blizzard right now, and he teach me everything about hand painted and styles and shapes. So yeah, that was a pretty cool time back then. Yeah, and after the mobile studios, I said, well, I did some environments, some props, some stylized, some realistic stuff. Um, I want to specialize in something that's interesting for me. So yeah, weapons were interesting for me because I play, of course, some video games back then, and I just wanted to try out my first weapon. My first gun was an HK MP5 from Heckler& and Koch. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, I just did like rough high poly back then and started to get really cool. And as I finished it, I met a guy in California. He did this video game for Steam, hot dog, horseshoes, and hand grenades. So I contributed voluntary um, some weapons for him, like yeah, 6 or 7 or so. Yeah, and that was basically my start as a weapons artist. It was in 2016, and I wanted more, so I just gained more experience in creating weapons, all kind of weapons, and I applied at Rocksteady Studios to become a senior weapons artist in the industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have been working for Rocksteady as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And after like Rocksteady, you said you want to be freelancing?
Yeah, it was like in the time of 2017 and 18. So back then I lived in London in UK, and I decided to get married and move back to Germany because of that. Um, and yeah, I just asked Rocksteady if that would be possible to do some freelancing, to like convert into a freelancer and working remotely. So yeah, they made it possible, which was really cool there. And I could continue like creating some content, and then I just like go. I was going through my path, and yeah, was working for different studios then as well. Um, yeah, like on several game projects, and I had through some CGI projects as well, because I wanted to have a look how like the film or the commercial industry is like.
Hmm.
Yeah, but my heart is still at hard surface and weapons, so this is like everything basically to me when it comes to work, because this is like where I have the most fun and the most creativity, and where my heart is at.
Okay, so since then you're like freelancing in weapons and hard surface props.
Yeah, that's right. I decided to go freelance then. Yeah, and never
Okay,
came back to like a
to studio
full,
job.
to a studio job, full employment, um, because of the work-life balance. Yeah, that's yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
And also I have the feeling that when you got freelance, you're not sitting like in an office with hundreds of people over there. So when I'm sitting at home, I can focus like 100%, and get things done like pretty fast and
yeah,
faster than
yeah.
working in a studio.
Same goes for me. Especially now with the home office and the remote stuff coming more and more into our lives, and
Mhm.
yeah, you kind of develop a good routine how you can get stuff done and how you can get faster.
Yeah,
Like in a studio environment, you have lots of distractions, lots of people coming your way. Hey, did you look at the football game last weekend and all this stuff.
true. Yeah.
This is Yeah, this can happen at home as well when like on WhatsApp and Discord, but you can all block that out with a mouse click.
Yeah, mute them all. I mean, headphones in the office are your best friends, but at like
Yeah,
several hours, your ears are basically bleeding, so it's not
yeah,
healthy.
yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's speak about your general approach to your art, to your
Mm.
weapons, or to your props. So how do you handle the
Yeah,
stuff?
so usually when it comes to weapons creation, I mean, I'm just taking an example of my private works. So basically, like looking a movie, a film, or playing a video game, and then suddenly like some prop or some weapons popping up, which is like interesting for me. Um, I'm like spreading out like all the creativity. Like I want to do that. I want to figure out more about this special item, and then I start like basically collecting the references, which like take some time, because this is like probably the most important thing to do
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
creating a weapon, to know how
It's
it works.
boring and it's sometimes
Of course, yeah.
mind-boggling and
Yeah,
annoying,
but
but
it's
it's
exciting
super
as well,
important.
because like
Yeah,
sometimes I'm wondering like, wow, this is working like that. This is awesome. This is amazing.
yeah.
And as you know, like in Germany, you're not allowed to have some weapons, so you have to buy some airsoft guns, some toy guns, and
Hmm.
figure out your way like from the outside. Inside parts, this is like basically the hardest thing to do and to figure out. And yeah, for us for in Germany, since there are basically no references. But yeah, searching the web, you can always yeah, find something useful. Yeah. And also within the reference search, at the same time, I'm collecting some images of some surfaces like polymer or metals or plastics, to later on have like some references for the texturing. This is important as well to me. Yeah, and then basically I'm setting up my scene. I have a preset scene, like a default scene, so everything is set up there. I have like a figure which is 180 meters centimeters, and
Yeah.
some some basic shapes like you always use, like cubes or cylinders or something like that. Because yeah, you always have to start from something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty good to have like a startup scene with all your mesh, not just with all your materials
yeah.
and references and all the stuff you use every day. It saves lots of time.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver, of course.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and then I start to drag in the plane, like having a side view if possible, um, and then starting blocking out things, and basically start with a high poly where the fun part is kicking in.
Yeah. Can you like walk us through your process of the
Mm.
high poly?
Yeah, so when it comes to the high poly, like proportions is everything, and shading, of course, because I've like this blend material where it shows you like the shading when you get smooth. So this is basically the most important stuff when it comes to high poly. And of course, like all the connections, I just like figured out that it makes more sense to have like a screw and then a hole behind there, even through if you don't see it, but it makes sense and it gives like a nice shadow. But all those little details I learned like in the games industry, like in the studios, and from feedback from the art leads and yeah, and art directors. So this is like some knowledge you just don't know as a rookie. You know, you have to figure it out by yourself, or watch others work, or yeah, or doing feedback. And yeah, basically I'm a Maya guy, so
Hmm.
I used Max before for about 6 years, and then I've got a feeling that they didn't develop it further.
Yeah.
So I just switched, and I had to switch for a project as well, which was like the first month. It was like hell, but
Yeah, it's always the same.
yeah, it's
When
always, yeah. And yeah, and then I got familiar with it, and now it's pretty cool. So I have like one plugin in Maya is called Hard Mesh, where it kind of allow you to have live booleans directly
oh,
in the software. So I'm a huge fan of staying in one software as long as you could be, because I don't like the whole import export stuff. I just want to work and keep on focus.
yeah,
Yeah, so basically everything that is booled, I'm having separate meshes for that, like adding or subtracting the meshes, and then I just run hard mesh, and it's there basically. Like as in ZBrush, there's a workflow as well.
yeah.
It's basically the same, but just in Maya.
Okay, so you're not using ZBrush for your high polys?
Not at all. No,
No, no, no.
not
Okay,
really.
okay. I work a lot with ZBrush,
Mhm.
but I was like at first when I started it, I was like pretty annoyed by the software and the interface, and I always said, "Oh, I should stay in Maya." But like I never got the results I have with ZBrush now in Maya. But maybe you need to show me how the hard mesh plugin is working. So
Can do so,
I'm
yeah. Yeah.
always open for that.
Yeah, the good thing is that you could manipulate your meshes within Maya, and the bool is like changing on the fly, like live. It's possible now with live boolean in ZBrush as well. I heard that and I saw it by myself, but it's always clunky, you know. If you want to change the base mesh like properly, um, you have to go back to your 3D software, and you're gonna lose time. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like basically the thing why I'm using it. So yeah, I mean both is working. I've seen artists creating great high pulleys with the ZBrush workflow as well.
Yeah, you can always achieve
Yeah,
good results with each software when you know what to do.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and after basically creating the high pulley, and I'm happy with the shapes, with the shading, and with all the details. Um, I'm going to retopologize. So what I'm doing is, before like all my Boolean operations, I'm gonna save the state before the Boolean as yeah, within layers, and hide them. So when it comes to
Yeah.
low poly creation, I'm pretty fast because I have everything um, like before the Boolean, and I just need to add like bevels and follow the shapes. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Depending on the project, you can bevel everything, or you can just get away with like very simple geometry. It always depends. Like on, of course, in my private works, I'm try to get like every detail as possible, because yeah, I like to just show like the details. Um, and then yeah, unwrapping is like meditation for me. So
Oh yeah, for me. Yeah.
You have
It
to
can be
think.
annoying sometimes, but with
Yeah.
the right music and or the right podcast in the background, it's like it's wellness.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to think about yeah, I mean, which kind of parts you want to straighten or where to cut. Yeah, but that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward as well. So yeah, uh, the only thing is I made my head around on some patterns, like how you could arrange your UV layouts without having too much trouble then in Substance Painter, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then packing. So Maya has a pretty good packing
Uh-huh.
layout and settings. So that's usually working pretty fine. And then I just decide on how many materials my gun will use and apply the materials there and export it to Marmoset. So I'm baking everything in Marmoset because I think you have a great control over the cage and you get
Yeah.
instantly like feedback over the viewport and you can paint the skews over there if you have some distortions. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, baking in Marmoset is a game changer.
Yeah,
Like
it is. It is.
compared to Substance Painter, it's like it's another world.
Oh,
So
or X normal
or
back in
X
the
normal,
days.
yeah. This is like the really OG stuff.
Yeah, I started in X normal, and when it comes to Marmoset, it was hilarious. So to bake
Yeah.
there and have everything in one map, and you don't need to fiddle around copy pasting in Photoshop and all this kind of messy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, I care about a lot about namings because I
Because we
learned.
are German.
Yeah, because of that, of course.
Mhm.
And because if you're gonna load in your low poly in Substance Painter and your material names are correct, it automatically plugs all the maps in the right channels.
Yeah, this
S-
is true.
Yeah, so you don't have to do anything over there and just can start texturing.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any like specific texturing advice, or is there something you do different than most of the people out
Mm,
there?
yeah, maybe I'm doing like one thing different. I'm not using the preset templates in Substance Painter, at least not yet. Um,
Hmm.
because some are having like troubles in values, and also I want to learn how a specific or a certain material is built up, so I always start from scratch. I mean, of course I have a library, because like a plastic is a plastic, but like when it comes to detailing the material, um, yeah, I'm like customizing it.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I always start from scratch, like base color and roughness definition, roughness variation, and then like stacking up further. I mean, um, I always end up in having like hundreds of layers, even with anchor points.
Yeah, anchor points are really also a game changer. They really can help.
Yeah, especially like when having some small height details that you want to push or sticking
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's helping. It's helping a lot. And yeah, most of the time when texturing, I'm on my references, like occupying and analyzing, like yeah, the whole material, which could take some time, and then I try to transfer it to Substance Painter as close as possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is still my weak spot. I mean, for my texturing, I think it's the weakest part. So yeah, I'm always like developing further and trying some new things, and even like in plastic, I always see something new, which I added then. So it's a steady progress, right?
Yeah. I think there is always some room for improvement.
Yeah,
But like with each step, you can get better with like the color definition, the roughness definition. Yeah,
yeah,
there's lots of stuff we everyone can improve.
of course, of course. Except the guys from Escape from Tarkov, those
Oh
guys are
yeah,
crazy. I
these
mean,
these are
those are
really
like my idols when it comes to weapons and texturing. Yeah, the
good.
the texturing they are doing is like a blast.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay,
really
so
crazy.
let's speak about outsourcing. This is a
Mhm.
topic we spoke about this in on Discord
Yeah.
like 2 weeks ago. it became pretty big in the last 2 to 3 years. Games are getting bigger,
Yeah,
workloads are getting much higher now because of the content. The games always need more content because they want to keep the gamers as long as possible in the games and
yeah,
feed them with new content, which brings them money.
it's true.
So yeah, how do you think about the outsourcing in the 3D industry?
Yeah. So for the outsourcing, I think on one side it's a good thing for the companies because they can like set a badge and say like, okay, we want to have like 30 weapons in a month, and they could send it, and then they're getting their weapons. And on the other side, I think it could be problematic as it comes to yeah, the artists, because yeah, like my experience is with many outsourcing companies, um they're they're like not selling an average rate for the artist, which is pretty bad.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it has like a good side and a bad side. But outsourcing is definitely something very interesting because as a freelancing artist, you can head to projects where it never would be possible for you to work on. So where some
yeah.
companies are saying no, we are not gonna remote. Um, there
You
are a
have the
lot of,
chance.
yeah,
Yeah, you kind of have the chance. Like for example, I had the chance to work on the latest Call of Duty because of freelancing.
yeah,
So this would never have been the case with getting to Activision or
yeah,
to
of
the
course,
developer, like remotely working from home to work on guns for Call of Duty. Like this would never be possible.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
this is
that's
cool
for
for.
sure. This is good for, as a starting point. Like, if you're new to the industry and you want to do some really cool stuff and you got talent, you can do it. But yeah, as I said, like the salary is another topic, as we
Yeah,
maybe both know. So yeah, it could be tricky,
yeah,
especially when I learned that there are outsourcing studios which have third-party outsourcing studios hired with an even lower rate.
yeah.
So that's going to be crazy.
So as long as the chains get with the outsourcing studio that
Mm.
hires an outsourcing studio, as lower gets the pace for the artists. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah,
And some artists don't know their value, so they stick very low. And yeah,
yeah,
if you have to pay like a rent or you have a family, yeah, you need.
yeah. This is not doable, especially
Yeah, it's
like
not doable.
if you live in Germany compared to, yeah, to another to India or something.
Mm.
Everything is much more expensive.
Yeah.
Like you can't really compare the two countries, but sometimes the rates are like exactly the same
Yeah,
compared.
that's true. So for a
Yeah,
German, it's not doable.
as stupid as it sounds, but that's just the way it is, and
Yeah,
we need to also bring food to the table when.
of course, of course.
Yeah,
And you have to make yeah, you have to learn like how skilled and how experienced you are, and you have to learn like how to calculate your value, and that you're a good asset for another company. And yeah, I mean there, yeah, it's a business, right? I mean,
yeah,
I've seen many artists which are just caring about their art and how things are looking and developing further, which is a cool thing to do. But you also have to make sure that it's a business, right? So it's always tricky when a company approaches you and say, "Oh yeah, you can work on a fancy AAA project. It's really huge, and
yeah,
you can have something for your CV, but in the end, you're not getting paid properly."
yeah. I think it's the dream of every person to who is interested in games to work on games.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
true.
kind of forgetting sometimes that you always need to, yeah, think about your own value, as you said. So
Yeah,
don't sell yourself short.
of course, of course. Yeah, I think it's also like a games industry thing, because so many people want to do games, and yeah, Yeah, it's crazy. It's like something else in the movie industry or CGI or commercials. So there is the other way around. You're like crunching and working like really hard, but the salary is also really good.
Okay, so let's speak about that.
Mm.
The rates compared from games to CGI
Yeah, could be double sometimes.
could be double sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy for less amount of work. So basically in games you have to like follow all the workflows like creating the high poly, low poly, baking, UVs, texturing, and implementing into the engine. And where in the CGI you can get away with the high poly and like with UDIMs and texturing, and that's it. And you're getting like double amount of money. So a lot of people that I know actually switched the industry, so they went from games to CGI or cinematics.
Okay. Do you know where there is a what is the reason behind that? Is there a bigger budget for CGI? Do the are there companies that like can the pay the artists? Do they have more budget open for the yeah for the content creation, or what would you say?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I think it's something related to the budget. I
Hmm.
mean, a movie is as risky as a game. You never know if it's a success or if it's not. And yeah, both industries are dealing with millions of dollars. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know why is it like that. So I just figured out when um, doing some CGI projects that the rate is like yeah completely different, which is kind of cool. But it comes like as I said with the negative side as well, because you're sitting like yeah hours and evenings on some film because the deadlines are really tight. I mean game deadlines could be tight as well, but film is like more hardcore, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, more tighter that tight even tighter deadlines and
Yeah,
with even more
yeah,
workload
and it has to be
to
finished because you can't shift like the release date.
yeah, this is even harder, like in games, right?
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah. Um, let's speak about art tests. We also
Mhm.
this is also a topic we
Yeah,
spoke about.
it's pretty interesting.
It's a pretty interesting topic,
Yeah,
and we both did art tests.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah.
So how is your approach on that?
So, so yeah, in general, I have good and bad experience within art tests. So I think every
Mhm.
artist in the games industry has. Um, yeah. So as I was a junior and growing like to regular artist and switching companies and making my experience, I dived through several art tests. Um, Good art tests are such where you get feedback afterwards and such you're getting paid for.
Mhm.
um, yeah, you're not asking someone to um, yeah to paint your bathroom as a test like for free and then your living room. Nobody would do that, right?
Yeah. 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 True.
So
Um,
yeah, I think art tests should be paid because you're spending time. And yeah, like in every business, like time is money as well. I mean it's fun as well, and you could learn something if you're, especially if you're new. But yeah, I think you have to just make it fair, or yeah, you have to make sure that you're getting paid for your time you spend your effort in.
so did you also have the case like you said, is this artist paid and the developer said no and then it just left?
Oh yeah, I mean ghosting is something that many companies are doing, even
Mhm.
within the HR recruitment. But I just accepted the test like years ago from a big company, and it was about like the duration was 2 weeks. And after those 2 weeks, it was like a whole environment thing, and I like did like some documentations as well, and yeah, I really worked my ass off. And yeah, after that they said, oh yeah, well thanks for handing out the test. And I was asking like, okay, can I get some proper feedback? And they said, oh yeah, we will come back to you, but never came. I asked a
Nope.
second time about like the feedback, like very friendly and polite, um, and they were like ghosting me.
This is like really abusive
It
for
is.
real. Like this is
Yeah.
like you put like 2 weeks of your own time in I just don't get it. Like 2 weeks is, especially for an artist, 2 weeks is way too long.
It is, yeah. But
Eh,
back then, I didn't know. I mean, I've no experience. I don't know how this was like. Yeah, what the art test, what is wanted and stuff. Yeah, so I didn't knew before, but this one like was a turning point for me where I said, okay, I'm spending like so much time. I'm not getting even getting feedback, so I don't know. Oh yeah, by the way, I should say that I was not getting the position because they ghosted me. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, you always make sure that you're getting paid for your work. There was one situation as well, where I applied as a weapons artist, and the company said, oh well, just send your workflow before, we want to know how you're going to create the weapons. And I was like naive and sending them, yeah, this is my workflow, and they said, oh well, thanks, you're not considered anymore for this position. And I was like, okay.
what the?
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't get it. It always depends what position you're applying for, but
Mhm.
artists shouldn't take longer than 5 to 6 working days, in my opinion. Like if it's an hard surface or weapons, just give them a short weapon or a weapon attachment, and
Well, I
you
mean,
always can tell when you're a good lead artist. You always can tell how the person is working, if the workflow is correct, if the high poly is correct, if the texturing baking is correct.
yeah.
So you don't you yeah, there is no reason why a art test should be like a big gun. I did this myself, a big gun for 2 weeks of pure work, which never would have been in production for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you don't get the job, or you don't get even a good feedback.
Yeah, I think we had the same experience with the same company. I know
Yeah,
exactly which
I
company you mean. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I know. Um, yeah, I mean, um, to be honest, our tests, I mean, they won't say anything because why then I have a portfolio. You know, I don't need a
yeah,
portfolio if I have to do an art test. On the portfolio you can see like, okay, this is looking great. He can adapt. He could iterate maybe. Um, yeah, I mean, if someone wants to fake the art or is not honest or something, he could like buy some 3D assets even within the art test and say these are mine. So yeah, I don't get the point of an art test. Maybe, yeah, for sure they will see like how you're gonna work under pressure, but they can see when you're like working in the position, right? This is like why you have like some period times or some test time to see like if you're the right person for the job. And yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I also had the experience that I applied for an art, or for an weapon artist, and then they gave me like an environment artist, and I was like, well, what is wrong now? And it took me like 2 weeks to get the art just done.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I'm sending a CV back then, um, they didn't even like read my email properly because I was saying like, yeah, I'm a freelance 3D artist, and they assumed that I would like move to some other country, which
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
doing. Like because I said like or I wrote in my email, I would prefer to work remotely. So yeah.
yeah. So would you say that remote work is coming more and more into the games industry,
Hmm.
especially with the pandemic now and the home office stuff?
Yeah, I think now like with the pandemic, it's more yeah, you have more chances like working remotely in some companies that wouldn't allow remote work before. But in general, as the pandemic will flatten, maybe they will change back. It's hard to predict because like as usual in the industry, um, everyone has to sign NDAs. You're not allowed to speak about the projects. You're not to speak about yeah, other projects in detail or something like that. So yeah, and yeah, the companies want their security. You know that you are working in house without yeah much use of the internet maybe. Because like hacking is a huge thing as we learned from
Yeah,
CD Projekt.
yeah.
So I could understand that, but at the same time, I mean, come on, we are doing entertainment. We are like
Yeah,
working for
we are not
games.
doing like serious, really serious
Yeah,
stuff.
we are not like, I don't know how to say that. We are not saving lives, you know. We are entertaining the people with some cool projects.
Yeah, yeah. So, is there anything else you want to add to the art test? So, what would your art test, if you would do one, what would your
Yeah, I
favorite artist look like?
yeah I already had my favorite artist, so it was a gun part as well.
Hmm.
Just a part, like some generic item, and it was getting paid like properly, like as you would would sign like an NDA and contract and everything, and then like start working. And this was like a pretty cool experience because the feedback they gave was pretty nice as well. So they really put some time and effort into feedback the thing, which like values your work, which is very positive. So there are good companies which are giving like good art tests, and of course like most important paid art tests.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope that this is more of a common thing in the next
Yeah, yeah,
years.
I mean like you have so many well-known companies and great names in the industry, and if they're gonna say, okay, we want an art test from you, please sign, and yeah, please do it in this amount of time. And when I'm asking like, okay, is this getting paid, and they said no, I'm saying, okay, unfortunately I have to take it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what is like your experience? Um, did they offer you payment, or when you requested it, they said yes, we can do that, or how was your
Oh,
experience with the
oh,
request?
I never got an offer for a paid art
Mm,
test, so
mhm.
they are not coming forward. I always have to ask, or I mean, I'm just asking when they send an art test or something. I had one situation where I sent an email for like an application, um, and I'm not received like an answer. I just received the art test.
Okay,
Yeah.
crazy.
So yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is something I experienced as well. Yeah. But
So
other than that, there are companies which are having good art tests, and yeah, you I mean, in my career and the art test which I have done, I had fun as well. Um, yeah, so it's not everything like negative on art tests, but they
no,
should be
no, no,
paid.
no, for sure not. If you do it right, if it's fair, if it's
Yeah.
paid, there is no reason to think about an artist if it's not long enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, within the same time, you could start a portfolio piece because I think that the portfolio is getting you the clients and the jobs you're gonna need. There's a good phrase from a very good friend of mine, Leonard Clausen. He's a weapon artist as well,
Yeah, I
and
know him.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and he said, if you do care about your work will care about you, and this is like exactly what will happen if you're gonna put like details, and if you're gonna work hard, the work will care about you, so the
Mhm.
clients will knock on your door with and offering you something, or yeah,
Yeah.
this has a great meaning for me.
Yeah. This is a pretty true face. So yeah. Yeah, and you also can use like art tests as a portfolio piece if you're pretty satisfied with it and you said, yeah, I learned some stuff. I got better, and I tried out new workflow, and yeah.
Oh, I would never do that.
Oh, you would never post it in a
Yeah,
portfolio.
no, I wouldn't. I mean, sometimes you have to sign NDAs. Sometimes the company don't want um, to have the art test visible for other candidates, so I'm not
Oh,
posting.
yeah. There
Yeah.
are some artists out there.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that, of course. But yeah, I wouldn't like post an art test into my portfolio.
Okay, so I did this only once. Maybe I shouldn't do it on the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it's your decision.
Yeah, I was super happy with the results, and but I didn't get the job. So I was like, why shouldn't I put this in my portfolio? Because I did some new workflow, and I I learned some stuff,
Have
and
you
yeah,
received feedback for the art test?
yeah, like one sentence.
Okay, okay. Well done.
Well done. Yeah, well done, but you didn't get the job. Bye.
Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah. So this is some feedback I can like, yeah,
Yeah,
just delete.
yeah, yeah. But speaking of portfolios, I try to have I try to add some personal details to all of my assets. Yeah, to just stay in mind and to have something unique because yeah, for example, if one guy is like on ArtStation posting an AK, there are dozens of AKs and they're always or like near the same. So people are getting tired and boring of AK. So you have to add something special or you have to make it unique. Yeah, it's crazy because there are so many good weapons artists out there. It's a huge competition, and to stick out, you have to yeah you
Do
have to
something
find
different.
yeah some
Yeah.
character. You have
Yeah.
to find
Yeah,
something.
like your post-apocalyptic AK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was inspired by concept art for I think a cancelled game, and I was approaching the artist who drew the concept, and I asked him, "Do you mind if I'm gonna take your concept as a base and refine it and change it?" And he was like, "Yeah, just go ahead." And I wanted to create something, yeah, something new. I mean, it reminds some people of Fallout of the universe.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, usually it would be another default 123 AK on ArtStation, and I don't want that, so I just made something crazy out of it.
You went crazy with
Yeah,
it.
of
Did
course.
some magic on it. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I really
Yeah,
like it.
thanks. Appreciate it.
So let's speak about VR games. This was our last topic on our list. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, VR is pretty interesting. As I got my first hands on it, it was with a friend of mine. Who brought an HTC Vive headset and he showed me the shooting range, like hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand
Hmm.
grenades, where you could like pick up the weapons, hold it in your own hands, and occupy it from every angle. And I was like catched. I mean, I think like 2 or 3 weeks after he showed me all the features and stuff, I just bought an HTC Vive for my own, and
Hmm.
I started like bringing my weapons to Unity, and this was amazing because you could see like every screw. And I noticed as well like some things are not working anymore, so you have to instead of baking some screws in there which are gonna stick out, you have to model them and represent it in your low poly. Yeah, it's another thing regarding to usual game development. It's completely different.
So would you say that VR is getting bigger in the future? It kind of had its hype, but it's decreased a bit now.
Oh, sure. VR and AR is like the thing to go because a lot of companies, especially like car companies or visualization companies, are moving towards VR and AR. So it's a huge market.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Um,
I've seen that. Yeah.
but like for really games, for the hardcore mainstream gamer, would you say that this is a coming market? Because like from my experience, I really like VR. It's super cool.
Mhm.
But in the end, I want to just sit on the couch, have a nice controller in my hand, and just relax and play some video games.
Yeah, it could be.
Um,
It could be. I mean, there's like the PlayStation VR headset, and like for PC for Steam, would be interesting to get some values like how many users are playing VR. But I think as some companies, like Capcom with Resident Evil, yeah, they are
mhm.
focusing on VR, and some games are really like played well in VR. I think I mean it was a trend at first when it pops up and then it flattened a little bit, but now I have the feeling that it's like yeah even more a huge thing in development, like in many projects, especially cars, like for presentation purposes. If you if you can like walk towards the car and then
Yeah, and
like
sit
open
in it,
something,
and
it's
yeah,
completely yeah it's yeah It's really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, this is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in like in the car visualization. And I worked for Audi, and so I did lots of VR stuff for them, like some low poly modeling in for Unreal and etc.
Mhm.
So especially in like in cars and yeah, visualization and merchandise, it's coming, and it's coming yeah, on a big wave.
Yeah. I think in games it's starting slowly.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's coming definitely. I think when the headsets are getting better in terms of hardware, um,
yeah.
yeah.
And also like more freely, you don't need any cables.
Oh
You need to
yeah,
plug
yeah,
them
that's
in
true.
into your super duper PC. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, in one company, we did a project, like from Infected. This was like VR Globetrotter, and they had like the headset and the PC mounted backpack, so you were able to step into presentation booth, and they added like air conditions and heaters, so you were able to climb a mountain, and it was yeah, I had goosebumps because the feeling was just like amazing. It was an Unreal project as well, and you could like climb a mountain or stay in a cold chamber. This was really
Oh
cool.
yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, I kind of like VR, but it could get spooky as well or creepy. Even though if you play some horror games, this could be
Oh yeah.
intense. Like really.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. All right,
Yeah.
Multi. I thank you so much for being my guest.
Yeah. Thanks for being here in your format. And
I will put your portfolio and your website in my info box, and people should check you out. And I
thanks.
will, I will, yeah, let you know when the when the podcast is coming online.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for that.
And have a nice day.
Yeah, same for you.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.